Question number 1. How does William Faulkner portray the female character Emily in the short story A Rose for Emily? The answer, introduction paragraph. The short story A Rose for Emily was written by an American author, William Faulkner. The writer has described the female character as a secretive woman who spent most of the time of her life isolated by both physically and mentally. Let's analyze the role of Emily in the story briefly in the following paragraphs. The writer has portrayed the female character as a tragic figure who refuses to accept the reality of the changing world. He has described her as a depressed one right after her father dies, and she is left alone. Miss Emily cannot face the reality of her father's death. Therefore, she lived with the body of her father for a number of days, and she is finally forced to give his body for the funeral. Emily is refusing to bury her father because she feels that finally she has tamed her father. When her father was alive, he was strict. Therefore, Emily thinks that now she has taken control of her father. Next, the writer of the story is describing Emily's character through some symbols which reflected her sad life. The rose, Emily's hair, watch ticking, black color, and her father are the symbols which represented that she had a nasty life and loneliness was her only friend throughout her life. Moreover, he visualizes that the lady is facing some mental disorder because she shows some symptoms like withdrawing from the society and not frequently going out. She simply escaped from the modernism by locking herself in her house. The most interesting part of the story, which increases the terrifying nature of Miss Emily, is that she kills her lover, Homer Brown. The reason for the murder is that Homer tells the people in town that he had sexual relationship with Miss Emily. So she is embarrassed by his behaviors. Behold, her name and image in the society is tarnished. Therefore, this is the reason behind the murder. Moreover, Homer is portrayed as a homosexual man, or he is simply eternal bachelor. He is dedicated to be single and uninterested in marriage. Therefore, Emily poisons him with arsenic. Emily deeply loved Homer, and the main reason to kill him was that to keep him permanently with her. From this, the reader can understand how deep was her love towards him, and further to explain the romantic relationship between them is that even after his death, she sleeps next to the body, loving it as if Homer was still alive. Even though Homer was a laborer and not a perfect match for Emily, she still had so much of affection. Therefore, the only way to keep the man she loved from leaving her is to kill him. She dearly loves him. The love turns her into an unhealthy obsession. She expected him that he would marry her. All the town people began to gossip the relationship between both of them. The conclusion paragraph. From the short story, the reader finally understands that how loneliness paves the path for psychological disorders. The writer deepens the emotions by stating that the secrets are revealed after the death of the woman. The end. Thank you.
The question is, how does William Faulkner portray the female character Emily in his short story, A Rose for Emily? Introduction paragraph. William Faulkner, as an American short story writer, portrays the decay of Southern aristocracy in his masterpiece, A Rose for Emily. The writer has disclosed the appearances and the secrets of an aristocratic woman, Emily, by employing suspenses, by violating chronological orders, and shifting narrators' points of view in this work. This will be examined in the paragraphs below. The setting of the story is a town in the southern Jefferson, Mississippi. Writer begins the story with Emily's funeral through the phrase a fallen monument. He means her as a memorable thing. The writer symbolically expresses the protagonist Emily as an old woman who belongs to southern aristocracy. She was described as a traditional follower. She could not accept the reality and the modern changes around her. We can see that in two places in the story. First one is her father's death, and the other one is she refused to pay the tax payment. When her father dies, she is not ready to accept the reality of her father's death and her loneliness because she has no one to love her after her parents' death. However, her father was overprotective and her desire was never admitted. We can identify those things through the following phrases from the short story. That is, we remembered that all the young men her father had driven away, and we knew that with nothing left, she would have to cling to that which had robbed her, as people will. Another example of her tradition and hereditary obligation is expressed when she refused to pay tax in to new generation. In that case, we can see her social status and power of high class people. The writer clearly indicates that through her words, that is, see colonial Satrokis, I have no taxes in Jefferson. Moreover, the writer portrays Emily as a feminist criticism, an eccentric ridiculous. She is a mysterious figure who changes from a vibrant and hopeful young girl to a cloistered and secretive old woman. Devastated and alone after her father's death, she is an object of pity for the town people. From psychoanalytical criticism, it may be assumed that Emily repressed her anger but never got a chance to show it to her father, as she used up to respect him. That's why she kept her father's hopes for 3 days. Emily was 30 years old when her father died. Her desire was to choose a person of her own choice. Her father was strict and overprotective. Therefore, her desire was not admitted by him. As a result of this, she got psychological trauma after her father's death. The writer expressed her appearance like a young girl after her recovery from a long illness. In the summer, after her father's death, she went to the town. From here, writer introduced a man through these lines. Whenever you heard a lot of laughing anywhere about the scare, Homer Baron would be in the center of the group. However, the irony of fate is that Homer Baron was not attracted to her and rejected her proposal. Emily was interested on the northerner, a day laborer, even though she is an upper class. Conclusion part, Faulkner shows Emily as an anti-protagonist in the last part of the story. She bought a poison using her higher status in this society and killed her sweetheart. She prepared a comfortable room for him and kept his hopes. She did not want to lose the only one person who attracted her. So she thought to stay with him permanently. However, Emily ends up murdering Homer by poisoning him because he was an homosexual man. She wanted to control him and she wanted to manipulate him. But poor Emily did not know love is a feeling between two souls. A corpse cannot give it the same feeling. Thank you.
Questions. Critically analyze the portrayal of the female character Emily in William Faulkner's short story A Rose for Emily. Introduction paragraph. William Faulkner, as an American short story writer, portrays the decay of Southern aristocracy in his masterpiece, A Rose for Emily. The writer has disclosed the appearances and the secrets of an aristocratic woman Emily by employing suspense, by violating chronological orders and shifting narrators' points of view in his work. This will be examined in the paragraph below. In A Rose for Emily, William Faulkner portrays the character of Emily, present as a complex and tragic figure. While Emily's character is not entirely sympathetic, Faulkner's portrayal invites the reader to understand the psychological and emotional forces that shape her behavior and actions. One of the ways that Faulkner portrays Emily's character is through her relationship with her father. Emily's father is depicted as a controlling, domineering figure who prevents her from having meaningful relationship with other men.
Figure who prevents her from having meaningful relationship with other men. This dynamic sets the stage for Emily's later isolation and loneliness, as well as her fictions on preserving the memory of her father and their shared history. Faulkner also portrays Emily as a victim of circumstance, highlighting the social and cultural pressures that she faces as a woman living in a patriarchal society. Emily is expected to conform to certain expectations and norms, and her failure to do so ultimately leads to her downfall. Faulkner suggests that Emily's isolation and eccentric behavior are a direct result of the constraints placed on her by society. However, it also important to note that Faulkner's portrayal of Emily is not entirely sympathetic. Emily's behavior is often erratic and violent, and she is capable to manipulating and exploiting others to get what she wants. Her actions ultimately lead to tragedy and violence, underscoring the dark side of her character. Overall, Faulkner's portrayal of Emily is complex and multi-dimensional, highlighting the various social, psychological, and emotional forces that shape her behavior and actions. By offering a nuanced and critical portrait of Emily's character, Faulkner invites the reader to consider the complex way in which gender power and social norms can impact a person's identity and behavior. The end.
Question: how does William Faulkner portray the female character Emily in his short story, A Rose for Emily? Introduction paragraph. This short story was written by William Faulkner in 1930. He is an American short story writer, portrays the decay of Southern aristocracy in his masterpiece, A Rose for Emily. The writer has disclosed the appearance and the secret of an aristocratic woman, Emily, by employing suspense, by violating chronological orders and shifting narrator's point of view. This will be examined in the paragraphs below. The ending of the story, foreshadowed by the story's opening with Miss Emily Grayson's death and funeral. The writer exposes the content of her character through physical description, actions, words, and feelings. By a narrator's direct comments about the character's nature and action. The unnamed narrator relates key moment in Emily's life that helps to explore her character. The external characteristic of Miss Emily's house parallel her physical appearance to show the transformation brought about by years of neglect. Once she had been a slender figure in white. Later, she is obese and bloated. like a body long submerged in motionless water with eyes lost in the fatty ridges of her face. Both house and occupant have suffered the ravages of time and neglect. The interior of the house also parallels Miss Emily's increasing degeneration and the growing sense of sadness that accompanies such decay. Initially, all that can be seen of the inside of the house is a dim hall, with a staircase mounted into still more shadow, with the house smelling of dust and disuse. The darkness and the smell of the house connect with Miss Emily, a small fat woman in black with a voice that is dry and cold, as if it were dark and dusty from disuse like the house. The similarity between the inside of the house and Miss Emily extends to the tarnished guild is with the portrait of her father. Miss Emily lives for many years as a recluse, someone who has withdrawn from a community to live in seclusion. No visitor had passed since she ceased giving China painting lessons 8 or 10 years earlier. Faulkner characterizes Emily's attempt to remove herself from society through her actions. After her father's death, she went out very little. After her sweetheart went away, people hardly saw her at all. The death of her father and the shattered relationship with her sweetheart contributed to her seclusion. Not only these reasons, but also her pride contributed to her seclusion. None of the young men were quick enough for Miss Emily. Her pride has kept her from socializing with other members of the community, thus reinforcing her solitude. She carried her head high enough. Even when she believed that she was fallen, her father had driven all the young men away. If he had not refused the men who wanted to go out with Emily, she may have wanted seclusion, but her heart lingered for companionship, drove her to murder Homer Baron. She knew her intention when she bought the arsenic poison. Then we noticed that in second pillow was the indentation of head. Her deepest feeling and hidden longing were lying in the bed. Emily's pride resulted in the shocking murder of Homer Baron. She killed him in order to stay with him permanently. Finally, the town people description of both house and occupant reveal a common interactable arrogance. Therefore, she refuses to discuss or pay taxes and does not tell the druggist why she is purchasing arsenic. A rose for Emily emphasizes the way that beauty and elegance can become grotesquely distorted through neglect, pride, and lack of love. In this story, the house deteriorates for 40 years until it becomes ugly. Like this house, Miss Emily's physical and emotional condition dissipate in a similar manner. The end. Thank you.